goes this way. Now, the original rule says that whenever we have two singular subjects that are connected by and, that we are going to have a plural verb. But the exception says that whenever we have two singular subjects connected by and, that the verb will be singular. Now, when the two singular subjects connected by and, when they suggest only one idea to one's mind, a singular verb will be required. Now, this one sounds very, very much like the first exception we considered. So, when the two singular subjects connected by and, when they suggest only one idea to one's mind, a singular verb is required. Let's consider the following examples. Now, time and tide dash for no one. A, we have wait. B, we have wait. Now, time and tide, they imply the same thing. So, because of that, they will require what? A singular verb. So, the verb will be what? Wait for no one. So, we say time and tide, wait for no one. Another example, we say something like rice and beans. Rice and beans dash served for breakfast. Rice and beans dash served for breakfast. We have A, was served, and B, were served. Now in this example, rice and beans is a meal, a food, or a type of food that was served for a particular time. So because of that, a singular verb would be required. We are not talking about a meal that comprises rice alone or beans alone. We are talking about a meal that is made up of rice and beans. So a singular verb would be required. The answer will be what? Words. So in this example, we see that whenever the two singular subjects connected by and, whenever they suggest only one idea to one's mind, a singular verb will be required. We now go to the last exception in this category. The last exception in this category. Now, the last exception goes this way. When the two singular subjects connected by and, when they form the title of a book, a play, or a poem, a singular verb will be required. Now, look at this example. Tom and Jerry dash been around for many years. Now, we are not talking about the characters Tom and Jerry, but we are talking about a TV program that is titled Tom and Jerry. So, the words Tom and Jerry form the title of a program. So, a singular verb will be required. So, if you have the option have, and we have the option has. Now, because Tom and Jerry refer to what? A program, the answer will be what? Has. So, Tom and Jerry have been around for many years. Look at this second example. The lion and the jewel dash written by WAEC. We have A, where, and B, we have was. Now, The Lion and the Jewel is the title of a book, of a play, written by Professor WAEC. So, in this example, you discover that The Lion and the Jewel refers to the title of a play. So, the answer will be what? Was, which is what? Our right answer here. Now, these exceptions conclude our discussion on the exceptions to rule number 5. We now go to rule number 6. Rule number 6. Now, rule number 6 is fairly simple. Rule number 6 says something like this. When two plural subjects are connected by and, then a plural verb will be what? Required. noun or plural subjects that are connected by and require what? A plural verb. For instance, let's look at the example. The officers and their men dash crossing the field. We have was and B we have were. Now let's analyze this example. The officers and the dash, their men, dash crossing the field. Now, the officer is a plural noun, the men is a plural noun, and they are now connected by what? By and. And the rule says that whenever we have two plural nouns connected by and, it will take what? A plural verb. So the answer will be what? Were. So the sentence will now be the officers and the men were crossing the field. Now, let's consider another example. The sailors and the pirates dash reached an agreement. We have A has and B we have B have. The sailors and the pirates dash reached an agreement. The sailor is a plural noun, while the pirate is another plural noun. Both are connected by and. So the rule says that we are going to require what? A plural verb. So the answer here will be what? Will be have. So this is what rule number 6 says. Whenever we have two plural nouns connected by and, they will take what? A plural verb. Now let's go to rule number 7. Rule number 7. Rule number 7. Now, rule number 7 says something like this. Two singular subjects separated by the expression either dash or neither dash nor dash take a plural verb. A singular verb. Two singular subjects separated by dash or dash. We now go to rule number 10. Now, the rule number 10, the summary of it just goes like this. Whenever we have the expression many a or many an as the subject of a sentence, then it should be followed by a singular noun and what? A singular verb. When the expression many a or many an forms the subject of a sentence, it should be followed by a singular noun and a singular verb. This is just a summary of what the rules looks like. Now let's consider this example. Many a dash these days dash too much. Many a dash these days dash too much. Let's consider these examples. Preacher, and we have talks. We have B. Preacher, we have talks. C. We have preachers, we have talk. And D. We have preacher, and that is what? Talk. Now, let's consider this example very well. The rule says that when the expression many a or many an form the subject of a sentence, then it should be followed by a singular noun and a singular verb. Now, in other words, after my a, I must have what? A singular noun. Then, After that, I must have what? A singular verb. Now, look at the option one by one. Preacher is a singular noun. So, it fits in here. And I said I must have what? A singular verb. Between talk and talk, we find out what this is what? A singular verb, and this one is what? A plural verb. So the answer here must be what? Must be talks. So the right option here will be what? Many a preacher these days talks too much. Many a preacher these days talks too much. The right option will be option A. Many a preacher these days talks too much. Let's look at another example. Example B. Many a woman in this country dash in abject poverty. Many a woman in this country dash in abject poverty. Now, the rule says that whenever we have many a or many an as the subject of the sentence, then it must be followed by a singular noun and a singular verb. Now, many a here is followed by what? By a singular noun, which is what? A woman. Now, the verb that must agree with it must be a singular verb. So the right sentence what? Let's look at the option once again. We have live. And B will have what? Lives. So many a woman in this country dash in abject poverty. Live is a plural verb, while lives is what? A singular verb. That the rule says that we must have what? A singular verb. So the singular verb will be what? Lives. So we put lives here. It will now read, many a woman in this country lives in abject poverty. Many a woman in this country lives in abject poverty. That concludes our discussion of rule number 10. Now let's go to rule number 11. Rule number 11. Rule number 11. Rule number 11. Now, this one says that when the expression a number of is used as the subject of a sentence, then it should be followed by a plural noun and a plural verb. When the expression a number of is used as the subject of a sentence, it should be followed by a plural noun and a plural verb. Let me give us an example. A number of candidates dash arrived for the seminar. We have A as and B we have. A number of candidates dash arrived for the seminar. Now, the rule says that we have a number of, and the subject that must come after it was plural. So candidates is what? Is a plural noun. So we must have what? A plural verb here. Now let's consider the options we have. Have is a singular verb, and while have is what? Is a plural verb. So the right answer here will be what? Will be have. So we say a number of candidates have arrived for the seminar. A number of candidates have arrived for the seminar. Look at the second example. A number of cars dash reported stolen last year. We have A was and B we have were. A number of cars dash reported stolen last year. Now we have a number as the subject of the sentence, and the subject is what? Is cast, which is plural noun here. Then we must have what? A plural verb here. Was is what? A singular verb, while where is what? It is a plural verb. So the right answer of the word will be where. So we say a number of cars were reported stolen last year. So this is rule number 11. But on the other hand, we're still talking about rule number 11. Rule number 11. Now, instead of a number of, when you now have the number of, instead of a number of, when you now have the number of, so when the expression the number of is used as the subject of a sentence, it should be followed by a plural noun, then a singular verb. That's how it's different from the first one. When the expression the number of is used as the subject of a sentence, it should be followed by a plural noun and what? A singular verb. Now let's look at some examples. The number of teachers in the university dash increased over the years. The number of teachers in the university dash increased over the year. We have has and we have what? Have. Look at the rule. The number of plus plural noun plus singular verb. So we have the number of teachers in the university has increased, not have increased. So the right answer here will be has. So we say the number of teachers in the university has increased over the year. The first one says when the expression a number of is used as the subject of a sentence, it should be followed by a plural noun and a plural verb. But this one says that when the expression the number of is used as the subject of a sentence, it should be followed by a plural noun and what? A singular verb. This concludes our discussion of rule number 11. Now let's go to rule number 12. Rule number 12. Now we will talk about rule number 12. Now rule number 12 has to do with percentage and fractions. Now when we talk about percentages and fractions, now we discover that sometimes we have a subject that is made up of a percentage or that's made up of a fraction. Now this rule says that when the subject of a sentence is made up of a fraction or a percentage, now it is not the subject, it is not the fraction or the percentage that will determine the number of the verb after the subject, but by the noun that comes immediately afterward, after the fraction. Let me give us an example. 20% of the project dash being completed, but only 10% of the OSEPs blocks dash ready for use. Now I want us to look at this very important example. 20% of the project dash being completed, but only 10% of the OSEP blocks dash ready for use. Now let's have the following option. We have and we have we have and we have is. C, we have has and we have. And D, we have has and we have what is. Now, I need to say this again. When the subject of a sentence is made up of a fraction or a percentage, it is not the fraction or the percentage that determines the number of the verb, but the noun that comes after the fraction or the percentage. Now, what's the percentage here? Here we have 20% of what? Of the project. Now, it is not this 20% that will determine the verb here. It is the number of the noun that comes after of. The project is singular. So it is singular. Because this is singular, the verb here must be what? Must be singular. So 20% of the project has been completed. 20% of the project has been completed. But look at the second example. But only 10% of the hostel blocks. Here we are talking about 10%. So it's not this 10% that determines this verb here, but we look at the number of subject or noun after the of. We have the hostel blocks. The hostel block is plural. So we have what? A plural noun. Because this is a plural noun, the verb here must be what? A plural verb. So we will have something like are. So we say only 10% of the hostel blocks are ready for use. So what do we have? We have as and are. So the answer would be what? Would be C. As and are. So the sentence will read 20% of the project has been completed, then only 10% of the hostel blocks are ready for use. So this is an example of the Concord that has to do with percentages and what? And fractions. So this concludes our discussion of what? Of rule number 12. So let's go to rule number 13. Rule number 13. Now, what is the rule number 13? Now, when we have expressions such as all dash, but dash, or we have both dash and dash, the verb here must be what? Must be a plural verb. Whenever we have all dash, but dash, both dash and dash, the verb must be what? Be plural. Let's look at some example. All the students bet joy dash commended for dash project. A, we have was. B, we have well. All the students bet joy dash commended for the project. All the students bet joy dash commended for the project. Now remember we said whenever we have all dash bet dash, it will take what? A plural verb. So we have all the students bet joy. Students is what? Is plural, while joy is what? Is singular. So the verb must be what? Were. All the students were commended. Only joy was not commended. So the answer is what? Is were. All the students bet joy were commended for the project. Now let's look at the second example. Both the man and his daughter dash B to London. We have A has, B we have. Both the man and his daughter dash been to London. We have both dash and dash, we said we take what? A plural verb. So because of that, we have both the man and his daughter dash been to London. So this is what? A singular verb, while this is what? A plural verb. So the answer will be what? Will be B. So this concludes our discussion on Concord.